Today's episode is radical. If you know, you know, so you will want to listen in on this. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome. Today's episode, we have an expert, but also someone who has been in our world for a minute. She has been on the podcast before. She has spoken at the Stepmom Summit a couple of times, and she's just an overall, dare I say, rad human being. Before I get to her, though, I want to give you a heads up on a few things we're working on that you are going to want to know about. First, Mother's Day is coming up, and we know for stepmoms that Mother's Day can be really triggering and honestly, really hard. So this year, Jessica Frew and I decided to get together, and we are hosting next week the Stepmom Soiree. It is going to be Wednesday, May 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is totally free and totally low pressure. No PowerPoints, no sales, just a bunch of stepmoms with games and prizes and community, and a way to get together before Mother's Day and talk about the things that will make us feel better on Mother's Day, right? We're going to call it the party that Mother's Day forgot to throw us. The other thing is that I am hosting another stepmom retreat this year. And if you have been on our last retreats, you know how amazing they are. It is in November in Siesta Key, Florida. Doors are going to open soon, and you can get in on the wait list at thestepmomretreat.com. thestepmomretreat.com. I will link to both events in the show notes, and I hope to see you. We have got some incredible things planned for all of our stepmoms. So let's get back to our rad guest today. Christina Nelson is a licensed clinical social worker who merged her clinical skills with her stepmom experience to support other women navigating blended family life. She shares her insights on stepmotherhood as well as topics relating to self-care, mental health, and lifestyle. And you may know her from her very popular Instagram account, Radical Stepmoms Podcast, which is the name of her podcast. Christina is amazing. She has such good insight, and we have a fantastic discussion for you today. So let's dive in. Christina, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So this is your second time here. It's been a while, but I'm so glad to have you back. And for people that may not have heard you the first time around, or if they haven't gone back and listened, which I hope they do, but I always like to start out and ask people their stepmom origin stories. So why don't you tell me your stepmom story and how you got here, but also tell me about how you started doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I met my husband at the gym. I was like pretty fresh out of a relationship, really enjoying my single life, living alone, doing my own thing, getting really immersed in my career. And he just kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't looking for him at all. And yeah, we went on a quick date that we call our non-date date because it was very low pressure. And yeah, it was after that, I haven't stopped talking to him since. And that was about 12 years ago now. So when I met him, he told me, straight up, I have a 3-year-old, and he was never married to my stepson's mom. So that was a little bit messy. Looking back, maybe some beige flags, some flags I should have looked into a little bit more. But yeah, we quickly got married and bought a house, and I jumped full in to raising a 3-year-old. And it was that crazy realization when I'm talking to my friends who are still single and doing the bar scene and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm watching Thomas the Train. And that's where I feel like it was like a big, oh, wow, my life has wildly changed.
This is my life now.
Yep. Yeah. And my stepson's mom has never liked me. And so that was, I think, one of the most surprising things starting into this journey of just, I thought that, we would co-parent really well. All my intentions were good. I really wanted to, let her know, like, I'm not here to replace you or anything. I'm, wanting to just really love my husband and support my stepson. And there was a lot of custody stuff going on, parenting plan, court. My stepson was soon diagnosed with ADHD. And so we were dealing with school stuff, medical stuff. And I was losing my mind. And I had found a few stepmom resources, but all of them at the time really made me feel bad about myself, where it was, you got to treat them like your own. And, just you have to realize you're never going to be first. And if you have any feelings about the kid or whatever, then you're the problem and stuff like that. So I was
all
like,
the stuff that now we're like, don't say that to stepmom.
Yeah, it's just, I was really lost in like feeling really down on myself. And I had asked my mom because the only stepmom resource I had found at the time really was like Stepmom magazine. And I had asked for a Stepmom magazine subscription for like Christmas or something. And that was like my first like, oh my gosh, there's more of us out there. But I still felt like I needed an outlet. And at the time, my friend and I were both sharing stepmom stories. And she finally was like, we should have a podcast and just like talk about all this. And so the podcast was born. And because of that, I started an Instagram just to kind of get the word out.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of their own two different things. But yeah, I just really wanted to create a platform that felt more of what I was going through and what I needed to hear. So yeah, I didn't see it at the time, so I built it.
Well, and I love that you call it Radical Stepmoms Podcast, because using that word radical, I think, pushes back against the idea of a lot of the advice that you got early on, right? Like that we're just supposed to quietly endure and smile and take it and, take the high road and be the bigger person and, all the things that we're sort of told, by therapists and coaches and society, really,
Yep.
I don't
absolutely.
know. I mean, like when you started out doing this, like how did that ultimately end up translating into your experience? Like, so you're, putting out there into the podcast world and Instagram, like how you're feeling about all this. How did that translate into like helping you in your own life?
How did having the platform help my stepmom role?
Yeah, and taking kind of a bold, because I feel like you have a really bold voice, which I love. I mean, I think you're really good at articulating the things that stepmoms feel and don't always say.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
think
how did doing that help you in your own experience?
I think in the beginning, and even now, it feels really vulnerable. There's definitely the times where I put out my feelings or thoughts or takes on things, and I get people that are telling me that I'm awful. So I think that, I think I realize that that's just really a part of the internet and it's not so much personal to being a stepmom. So I've had to take that. But I think, and I tell my community this all the time, especially my private community, that because I share more private things on that Patreon than I do on the Instagram and stuff. But, I'm there to support them, but they support me just as much in acknowledging that I'm not the only one going through things.
Yeah.
And that I'm here as a support, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So there's definitely times where, stepmoms who have been in it longer or just have like the teenage stage and that, they've experienced something already that I haven't. And so it's a community that I needed for myself. But as it developed, I also really found value in being able to help other stepmoms not feel the way that I did.
Yeah.
When they were feeling alone or unheard. And then my passion for helping these relationships through the dynamics of blended family when so often we're at a disadvantage. And so that was something that I didn't expect as I started the platform, but have really grown to enjoy that as well.
Yeah, really, no matter what your background is or, how long you've been doing this, there is power in knowing that other people are going through this too. And I think that's similarly like when I am in my community and talking to stepmoms that I work with and coach, like that's like usually the first thing they say is like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one dealing with this. Or like, I thought I was feeling like I was crazy until I talked to you or heard from other stepmoms. I mean, there really is power in getting together because we're told as a society that like, that step families are less than first families, you know, and then that's the way therapy treats them too. And really they're not, they're just different. It's a different family system, you know.
Different dynamic. Yeah. My favorite thing is when I'm talking to a stepmom and she says like, oh my gosh, I've never talked to another stepmom before. And I'm like, what? Like we're everywhere. What do you mean? You know, it's just obviously we don't wear a sign.
Yeah.
Unless you're wearing a shirt. And then my favorite thing is when I kind of go into a guessing thing of, I imagine that this has occurred and you're feeling this. And then they're like, that's exactly
how did you know?
How did you know that? And I'm like, oh, I'm obviously a psychic. No, I'm also a stepmom. And for some reason, we all experience the exact same things. So
yeah, we really do. It's funny. When I was living in DC, I was having lunch with a woman who was very powerful, kind of politics adjacent, but very powerful in the city. And I was talking to her about what I was doing. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. She's like, but I mean, it's not like there's like a secret language or a secret handshake for stepmoms. I mean, like it you know, you just have to show up and be there for the kids. Like it's not. And I was like, friend, bless your heart, which
like,
is my favorite saying from my childhood. Growing up and stuff. Bless your heart. You just didn't know better.
Yep. They always out themselves, and especially on the internet when I'm like, oh, you don't belong here. Like, this isn't for you.
Yeah. And she said that, and then I thought about it and I was like, you know, she was divorced. Neither her nor her spouse had remarried. So she really couldn't understand that perspective. And clearly she didn't know other stepmoms. But so you're wearing a couple of hats, right? So you're a licensed clinical social worker and you are a stepmom and you're coaching. Tell me like how you show up differently for your clients. Like you do coaching, but you also do therapy. Like tell me how all that works.
Yeah. Something that I explain often, especially to my couples, just of the different boundaries that I can legally and ethically do or have to abide by. But really the difference is, you know, I find coaching to be more goal oriented, and I don't get into your brain. I don't get into the things that might be occurring. I might touch on them and encourage, you know, you to find your own therapist. But when it comes to things that can very much overlap and be co-occurring, like anxiety in stepmoms or depression in stepmoms, or if, you know, a stepmom has ADHD and she sees that it's impacting, you know, her own relationships or whatever. I won't dive too deep into those methodologies of how to navigate that. But when it comes to the coaching, it's more of let's identify goals, let's identify your patterns and find the tools and things that you can try and implementing now. It's more of current issues, not so much let's look into your deep past and understand your childhood wounds of why you might be experiencing this, which can all be real and relevant. And again, I kind of teeter on, I'm just going to encourage you to look into this a little bit further because that might be a present thing. But going back to what can you change right now within yourself or within your family dynamic?
I think there can be such a powerful connection between coaching and therapy. Like when I always ask my coaching clients if they're in therapy, and I always encourage them to be in therapy while they're getting coached because I just think they can work so well together because I think you do discover through the stepmom experience that you do have a lot of stuff, you know, that you have to work on.
Absolutely. You know, and I love when I have Washington clients because that's where I can do the dual thing of we can go a little deeper, but it's just kind of that separation sometimes.
Yeah. So what's the first thing, like when a stepmom comes to you and she's totally burned out, like she's having her bathroom floor moment, what is usually the first thing that you want to help her untangle?
I want to listen to her. I feel like the women that come to me in that state haven't really been heard by someone who truly gets it. They may have talked to their friends, their family, their partner, but all of it is like, oh, well, it's going to, you know, it's all kind of just, they're supportive, but they're not understanding. And so I just listen. And that's kind of what I say in my one-on-one sessions is sometimes you just need someone to like hear it out and then we go from there. But yeah, I just listen to what's been on their minds and what's been heavy. And then from there, I kind of ask, what have you been doing so far to get that understanding of, what's been working, what's not been working. There's probably some patterns there. There's obviously some ideas of what they want to change. And then we kind of just develop this. I think so much of it is validation of I'm not alone and I'm not crazy and I'm not a terrible person or a stepmom. It's just that there are so many complicated things and dynamics that we weren't aware of and we weren't equipped to handle. Yeah. I talked to so many stepmoms that are like, I've done so many hard things in my life. I've done all these difficult things, but I do not know how to navigate this. And it's like, yeah. I get it.
I think that's where you and I both were. I certainly felt that way. I was like, I went to law school. Like, I have a law degree. I have this like amazing career. I'm smart. Like, why can't I figure this out?
Yeah, it's totally like an identity like shift, obviously, but it makes you like question yourself of like, I've talked to, I felt this where it's like, I'm a really good person. Why am I having these mean thoughts? And it's totally unexpected sometimes.
Or like, I'm a really good person. Why does this person not want to get to know me and want to just hate me? Like, what can I do to make X like me?
What have I done wrong? Yeah. And that's a huge stepmom lesson right there, is just navigating that relationship.
Yeah. And there's so many people pleasers out there. And I'm not a full on people pleaser, but I have like tendencies for sure. And I definitely for a long time was like, I don't like people like me. I can talk to people. Like, why won't you like me?
Yeah. And that's when I say that's precisely why she doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Right. That's what my husband has said to me. And that was like a whole epiphany moment, like years into our relationship, where I was like, I don't understand. I do this. Why doesn't she like me? And he's like, that's precisely why she's mad.
That's exactly why. Yeah. And ultimately, like, you can't ever control whether she's going to like you. And she probably never, if she doesn't, she's probably not going to. Like, she's not going to wake up one day and be like, oh, you know what? Christina is probably a really good person. I should be nice to her.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I say when I'm like, okay, what's the intention of me sending this? Or why should I say this to her? It's like, am I really trying to change her mind? And what's the likelihood of that?
Right.
Not going to happen. If she's committed, she's committed. And I'm not responsible for her growth. So
that's a huge statement right there, because I think that so many stepmoms, not that they feel responsible for the growth of the ex, but like they really want to they want her to have some big aha moment, some big realization and, like in the movies, and like, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it could, but you don't need to be waiting for it. And that's the thing where I used to try and prove myself, or if I just do this, then she'll understand me more. And it's that's just not worth my time.
Yeah. No, it's really not. And I think it's really easy to get caught in that cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to worry so much about all of these things that we just cannot control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much of the stuff that your clients bring to you ends up being, because I see this a lot, where they come in and they've got some beef about the ex or some beef about the kids, and you kind of dive into it a little bit, and you quickly discover that the beef is not actually with the ex or the kids, it's with their partner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. With their partner or sometimes just within themselves, something that is holding them back. And that's usually a boundary issue. And then the partner thing, it's communication, boundaries. Yeah. And I think it's just so much easier to blame her. Just like stepmoms it's so much easier to blame us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we don't want to often address what we might be seeing as a partner issue. And the biggest example is, the ex always texts or calls on our date nights. And, then he answers and blah, blah, blah. And so now I'm mad at her. And it's like, girl, why is he answering? Why is he responding to is it an emergency?
Yep.
And it's just those little things like that where you are having to ask more of your partner. And that's where it gets like, oh, this is actually something that I can try and control instead of just being mad at her.
Yeah, there are actually some boundaries you can set around communication. And
Yep.
I feel really lucky in that regard because my husband he's the kind of guy that will he could leave his phone for days and not care. Like he is just so unattached to that. And he feels zero urgency to respond to people. And so he would get some, inflammatory something and he would just be like, you know what? We'll just respond to that tomorrow. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to let that ruin the night. And I've always been very thankful for that because it was usually me that I'm like, no, we need to talk about that we need to do it. And he's like, no, I don't have to respond right now. The world is not on fire. And I'm really thankful in retrospect that the things that I felt urgency about early on as a new stepmom weren't really urgent.
Yeah.
And he could see that when I couldn't.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we need. And that's what I kind of see throughout working with so many different stepmoms and relationship dynamics is that there is a lot of responsibility for the partner to have their own understanding of their blended family and their relationship with the ex and what co-parenting means to them and what stepmotherhood means to them and their kids. And there's unfortunately a lot of couples out there that don't have that really solid vision of what that looks like. So stepmoms come into it often thinking, hey, you've got this. You know what we're doing here. Bring me in the loop. And then you have to learn together. And sometimes it's the stepmom going, actually, we need a boundary here.
Yeah, totally.
And the partner has way more power in all of it than I think they often think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And those conversations, it's just not stuff that you talk about when you are thinking about partnering up with somebody that has kids. They have kids and you have a conception that that's going to impact your life, but you don't talk about how you're going to co-parent with each other. You don't talk about how you're going to co-parent with the ex and what norms and values you want to set for your house. You really, in a perfect world, we would all come into this with a lot more intention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But most of the time we feel like we're having to kind of come back after the fact and have those conversations, which I always say it's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late. No. Yeah, it just might take, and there's benefit there of now you know more than you did earlier on. It's so much easier to tell a stepmom something when she's in it a little bit more than, in the beginning, because maybe she wouldn't listen anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's tricky. It's tricky to have that timing and figure out, I don't know. I remember so clearly that first year or two, and I just went into it so knowing that I was great at this.
Yeah.
And that realization about how very wrong I was.
Yeah, it can be devastating. And then you have to kind of break apart to get back together. I remember just going full in thinking, I've got this. I am totally equipped to handle this. And then it was all these outlier things that kept occurring where I was not prepared for. And I took that internally as, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? How am I alone in this? But I think if I would have gotten some of the information, and that's something that I'm very gentle about when I'm talking to newer stepmoms of, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to respect where you are right now. I'm not going to assume that I know what your trajectory looks like, but I also want you to know that I have an idea. And are you open to hearing about mistakes that we've all made? Or maybe you should slow down, essentially, is what I have to gently say
But that's the right way to put it. It really is. It's because it is hard to hear as a new stepmom, and you sometimes feel so convinced that you're on the right path until all of a sudden everything goes sideways,
Well, and it just makes sense, right? Because when we're new to it, we're trying to prove not only to everyone else that we belong, but to ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we're a new stepmom, we're trying to figure out, okay, if they already have a dad, if they already have a mom, where do I fit in? Where do I find value? Where do I matter? How do I show up? What's the point of me being here? And so we find our, different ways to be involved. And so we're not feeling excluded and like an outsider. And for me, I did that full force that led to burnout. And I know other stepmoms way smarter than me have done it a lot slower. And so it's just this, why are you choosing to be involved, and are you doing it for the right reasons?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This has been such a fun conversation, and we waited too long before having you back on. So we'll have to have you back sooner.
Yeah.
But tell us where everybody can find you, and I will also put something in the show notes.
Yeah. Everywhere I'm Radical Stepmoms Podcast. So on Instagram or my web address. And then if you go to my website, everything is on there. So where you can find the Radical community, blog posts, and podcast stuff, all the things.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
thank
if
you.
You're listening and you are curious about coaching or getting more involved in helping step families, we are going straight from here over to YouTube to have a conversation about that. So hop over there and make sure you tune in. Christina, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If this episode spoke to you or touched your heart, would you do me a favor? Take 10 seconds to go and follow the show, leave us a 5-star review, and share this episode with another stepmom who might need to hear it. Your support is going to help grow our blended family community, and you never know whose life you might change.